Hello there, welcome back to Putney Pier. The Sunday papers, not surprisingly, are filled with specials about the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. So let's take a closer look at some of those. Ian Lloyd is here, royal commentator, writer and broadcaster, Clemency Burton-Hill as well. The front pages have got some really amazing pictures, haven't they, of the Queen at the Derby yesterday. But what are some of the different stories you've picked out? For example, those who are not invited today.
Yeah, those who are not coming. Of course, it's the golden ticket, everybody wants to be there, but top of the list is, of course, the Duchess of York. Fergie is not going to be present, and she says, though, that she's getting solace from her daughters. When my daughters smile at me, it means more than anything because it's a smile from the heart, and they are the wind beneath my wings. So, although she's not going, she's getting support from them. So that's.
Yes, well, they're going, aren't they, alongside her father?
Yeah.
They're on one of the many royal barges taking part. What about inside the papers? Because there's a poll, isn't there, saying that the royals are once again soaring in popularity.
They certainly are. Interesting. Sunday Times poll says that 3 times as many people that think that the Queen is more in touch with ordinary Britons than any of our politicians are, which seems sort of extraordinary. But it is, I guess, a measure of how high and what high esteem the royal family are currently held, perhaps different from in recent years, even 10 years ago, the last Jubilee, perhaps people not feeling quite such warmth towards the Queen. Sunday Times, a very impassioned leader this morning, talking about the fact that this reign, which has been bookended by austerity in the 1950s, and a new...
Reign spelled R-E-I-G-N,
yes.
Not this reign.
And I think it's funny we're calling them the Sunday papers, we should call them the soggy papers, really. We've been out here. Both her reign bookended by times of austerity, times of new hardship and uncertainty now. And they make the point that even if you're a Republican, you should be able to raise a glass today to the fact that she has served for 60 years. She pledged, throughout all my life and with all my heart, I shall strive to be worthy of your trust. And I think most people would agree that she's doing a pretty incredible job.
Yes, pretty incredible job. Lots of smiles from her on the Derby yesterday. But what about some of the other papers you've picked out?
Well, this runs on from what Clemency is saying. It's about chillaxing.
Right.
With a picture of Ken Clark.
This is in the Express, isn't it?
In the Express,
yeah.
Ken Clark very clearly chillaxing at the Test match, and the Queen hard at work. And the emphasis is that Prince Charles has worked for 90 days, Princess Anne 84, and this is the Queen's 80th day of engagements, whereas politicians have only been in Parliament, in the House, for 72 days. So the upshot is that the Queen's working harder than the...
You're a royal commentator. A lot of people will be saying, you know, they are protected, they have servants who do things for them. Does she really work hard?
I think so. You have to remember that these are the things they wouldn't necessarily want to do. I mean, you know, a lot of it is routine. She's constantly meeting ambassadors. She's 12 days a year she hands out honours at the investiture ceremonies. There's a lot of things that are routine that she might not enjoy doing, and you know, I think it's quite hard work. And then you've got weather like this, and
sailing down the
on.
river though, that's not hard work, is it?
Well,
no, today she deserves a day off, I reckon.
There was a quote from her cousin Margaret Rhodes who's saying she's dreading the ship thing. So the ship thing, I think, is this. But I don't think dreading it, and really, she didn't really mean it, but I don't think it's top on her list. But yesterday at the Derby and the service, because she's a deeply religious woman, the service on Tuesday will be the highlight.
Absolutely.
But I'm not sure about the concert.
Yes, Tuesday morning, St Paul's Cathedral, the first, the sort of more ceremonial day on Tuesday, isn't it? What about inside? Because this really is an opportunity for the country to get together, to have a party, to make the best of the weather, dare I mention it again.
3 weeks of rain in one day, apparently, we're having. But for many people, this will just make it all the more British and all the more excuse to get out there, have a right royal knees up.
And the Sun have had fun with
Sun,
this,
of course, are talking about the whole of Britain turning out, what's happening in Newcastle, what's happening in Liverpool, what's happening in Birmingham, also what's happening in Afghanistan, because apparently members of 902 Expeditionary Air Wing, they're holding tea parties, they're dressed in Union Jack hats, waving flags, eating tea and cakes and beef Wellington. And there is also more fantastic news coming out of Afghanistan, with the news that the British aid worker Helen Johnston has been rescued. That came in last night. It was a NATO-led rescue mission, and the Prime Minister this morning has been praising the breathtaking bravery of that mission. She was rescued in a province that's incredibly dangerous, full of insurgents. She's been held captive since May the 22nd. So wonderful news for her family this weekend as well.
And that's in the Observer, isn't it?
That's in the Observer,
One of the papers which has decided not to necessarily splash completely on the
Diamond Jubilee.
There are
a couple.
Yes. What about inside as well? Sunday Express. The Queen is ageing well. What do they say about her?
Yeah, this is a report from somebody at Oxford University, Dr. Lynn Cox, who tells us why the Queen's looking so hale and hearty at 86. Apparently it's due to getting out plenty of walks, lots of vitamin D, gives her strong bones, and a diet of food like fish, game and fruit is likely to reduce the risk of obesity, Alzheimer's and cancer. So regular exercise, being surrounded by her family and having a belief in God all contribute to good
I
health.
hope today she can have some cake and ale, maybe.
Yeah.
Cut the healthy diet.
Yeah.
But we knew it was the corgis all along, didn't we,
Yeah.
really? And what about looking ahead to other events taking place over the next couple of days? For example, the Monday night concert, Gary Barlow.
Big console. You wanted to talk about Gary Barlow.
Yeah, and the cast, they worked out the ages. I mean, most of them 60s, 70s. Shirley Bassey, Cliff Richard, both over 70. Tom Jones, Elton John. I mean, it's like last the summer wine on the pop stage, I think. But there are some younger faces: Robbie Williams, Kylie. But apparently somebody said the Queen's going to arrive, see everybody in, and then go back into the palace while they perform, and then come out at the end. So.
Yes, she comes out again to light her beacon, doesn't
light
she?
the beacon.
Behind you, there's like a small armada amassing, actually.
Yeah.
It's so murky you can barely see it, but the armada is waiting, including the Venetian gondolas, which is intriguing on a day like this, isn't it?
There
But-
hasn't been a pageant like this for 300 years. I love that Samuel Pepys in 1662 witnessed what he said was the most magnificent triumph that ever floated on the Thames. That was for Charles II and Catherine of Braganza. So hopefully we're going to see something magnificent today.
Clemency and Ian, thank you both very much indeed. A soggy look at the papers there. Let's see what the weather's doing. Here's Isabel.